Hello everyone, my name is Jose, and again I'm here to give you a review on one of the components of this kitchen. So last time we went over the Z-line kitchen appliances, and those seem to be pretty popular. That was a very popular video that I made, but another question that I got was, what about this little guy right here? And if you don't know what this is a pot filler. So I'm going to give you the pros and cons of this, and ultimately I'm going to leave you with the question, is the pot filler worth it? Okay. So let me first tell you how much I paid for this pot filler. I paid $59.90. Pretty cheap. It came with all of the fittings and everything that I needed to connect it to a water supply. Okay, now let's take a look at how it works. So let's take a look at it from the side here. So what I can do is I can pull it out like this, like so, see that? And I can drop some water from here. So let's use this empty pan that I have here. Let's move that out of the way. As you can see, when I position it there, I can now turn this on. And you turn it on by simply moving this valve. And as you can see, it's filling up the pot or the pan with water. And of course, to shut it off, simply shut it off. Now, one cool thing about this one is that it does seem to immediately stop the flow of water. It doesn't drip, if at all. So as you can see, you can either fold it in that direction or you can rotate it 180 degrees and move it in that direction. Now there are a couple of set screws on this. There's one right there, and then there's another one right over there, and that allows you to tighten how tight this thing gets. So the more you tighten it, the less loose it is, and the looser you make it, the more that this thing can kind of wiggle up and down. So first, let me give you the pros of this. The pros, of course, is that it's actually very easy. If you ever cook crab, or if you have a giant pot that you need to fill with water, well, it's actually very, very easy. You don't have to move the pot at all. You just place it over there and you use this thing to fill it up with water. Okay? So that's a very, very big plus. If you're making coffee the old school way, or rice, or what have you, you can just use that pot filler. Now, to me, that's basically where some of the positives end. Let's talk about the negatives. And this isn't really a negative unless, you already have it there. But one of the negatives is that you have to run a water line to this portion of the wall. So when I remodeled this kitchen, there was already a water line by this refrigerator here. So I basically tapped into that water line in order to get this water line to the pot faucet, which means I had to tear down this whole entire wall here just to route the water line. And I didn't use PEX, I used all copper. So if you use PEX, it might actually be a little bit easier, but I used copper, so that involved soldering, and it really wasn't that difficult. But for someone who doesn't know too much about this, it can definitely get very hectic. So that's one big con. You really have to route a water line. So down there, somewhere over there behind this fridge, is the water line for this refrigerator. And then from there, I tapped into that and it goes over here to that pot faucet. Okay, so that's not really a con, but you do have to do a little bit of work to get that to, to be exactly how you want it. Another con that I see of this thing is that in the end, you still have to carry the pot over to the sink. So to give you an idea, our sink is actually right there. Okay? And you know, it's quite a ways if you really carry a big pot from here. I'll give you the scenario, right? You have a big pot here, you have to turn around, and you have to essentially put it over here and drop it in there. Okay? So in the end, even though at first you don't have to fill this up, you do actually have to still come back to the sink and dump the water. So does that defeat the purpose of the pot faucet? I don't know. I'll leave that to you, because you do still have to come back if that is your goal, right? So if you're doing pasta or whatever, you still have to come back and dump the water anyway, which would, to some people, kind of defeat the purpose of, you know, putting one in the wall in the first place. Now, to give you an idea, this type of job can run you a little bit, it could be pretty expensive, because whoever has to run this line has to tear down your wall and essentially shut off your water source and tap into whatever water line is available. And so mine was a little bit easy, right? Mine was right next to the fridge, but yours, your stove or your range might be on the other side of the wall, and that might make it more difficult. So keep in mind, this can run you a little bit, up in the bank. So if you're not comfortable with that, then I think immediately you can shut out the pot faucet and not use it. So that's my review of the pot faucet. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I am going to post the link to this pot faucet in the description. And should you have anything else, let me know. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.